Book 101 Radio. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's an operational and small business process expert, career management, an author and a trainer too, and other than Mr. Eric B. Horn.
Thank you for having me on the show. Definitely excited about this great conversation. Definitely been looking forward to it.
Welcome, Mr. Eric. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yes. So for me, my journey into career management and processes and procedures actually started when I got downsized from my very first job, right? That was in 2008. And I've been on a journey of professional development, career management, processes and procedures ever since. I've also written a book, and the book is called How Professional Is Your Development? And it's a self-development guide for recent college graduates on how to have a successful career. And a lot of people who read the book, they appreciate it. But really, the book is all about the mistakes that I made in the first 4 years after graduating for college. So instead of me just internalizing those mistakes, I wanted to get those lessons out of my head and actually put it in a book to help other recent college graduates. It's geared towards recent college graduates, but I've had also people in mid-level management and some executives read the book as a refresher on some of the things that they can still do to push forward in their career. Also, I've had a business that's a career management firm and a process development firm for small businesses. We have two divisions, and I've been in business, thank goodness, for over maybe 13 years now. So definitely just don't talk the talk, walk the walk. Like I said, a lot of it's based off of my experiences and the mistakes that I've made either in my career or in my business. And it's, about giving back and hoping that, the people who are my clients, that they do better than me based off of the advice and the strategies and the consultings that I do for them. So definitely it's a great career. Definitely.
Mr. Eric B. Horn, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about what's costing you more than you know and how to spot hidden profit leaks in your business. What are the most common hidden profit leaks that business owners overlook?
One is the time that they spend on something that's not something that I call a PPA. And PPA stands for, and this is not my acronym, I learned it from somebody else. It's called Profit Producing Activities. As an example, emails aren't profit producing activities. Being on social media or scrolling on social media is not profit producing activities, right? For example, we just recently closed a client where she was trying to figure out why she was spending so much time in her business but not making a lot of money. So after we did a deep dive and mostly looked at her day-to-day behavior, we noticed that she spent a ton of time on emails, right? She was strapped to her phone and she was checking the emails, but the emails that she was sending her admin, or even when it comes to AI nowadays, you can get an AI agent to do the majority of that. She was spending between maybe 20 and 30 hours on emails. And I'm thinking, just imagine if you gave that to someone else, she can actually concentrate on her profit producing activities so she can make more in her business. And she really didn't realize what she was doing because she was working in her business as opposed to working on her business. It's two totally different things, right? When you're working on your business, you figure out better ways to get the job done or better ways to make more money or to remove yourself from certain things, whether you hire an admin or utilize technology to give you back that time and help you focus on what really matters in your business. And it was an aha moment for her because she really wasn't realizing what she was doing based off of the fact of her actually doing it. So kind of took a step back, looked at the reasons where she was wasting a lot of time. And once again, that time that she was using doing administrative work, that could be time on profit producing activities that can make her more money. So we just closed out her last week. So hopefully she will kind of redirect that behavior and use technology to check her emails and things of that nature so she can focus on the things that's really moving her business. So we plug that profit leak in a sense, and hopefully that will shape that behavior so then she can move on to the next thing that could be potentially leaking in her business. But doing a lot of unnecessary administrative work is one of the key things that myself and my team identify. So people are losing time, and if you lose time, it potentially could be losing money. So, for those out there, if you do have to check email, quick tip: if they do have to check email for 30 minutes in the morning and then 30 minutes in the afternoon, and then focus all the rest of that time on the stuff that really matters, that moves the needle in your business or in your job.
Mr. Eric, how can a business determine if they have a profit leaks without complex analytics? Or analytics, sorry.
Without analytics?
Yes.
Well,
With complex.
okay.
Analytics.
Well, one of the simplest things that someone can do, which a lot of people don't, which surprises me in their business, you can look at something as simple as how much time you're spending in your business every day, right? Because for some businesses, you may not have a full 8 hours. You may have only 3 hours or 4 hours because you have a lot of people that work a 9 to 5 that's also having a business, which is totally understandable. And then the amount of money that you are making, right? And also we have them set a target to say how much is 1 hour of your time, right? If you have a consultant and they're spent 1 hour of their time is $50 or $75, then we just do the simple math. If you're spending, for example, for 10 hours a day on your business and you're charging $50, on the average, you should be making $500 a day, right? If the numbers aren't adding up, now we need to figure out what are you doing in those 10 hours or the equivalent amount of time that you're spending to the amount of money that you are ranking that that hour, right? So in the simplest form, a lot of people get lost in the sauce. And even to your point, analytics and KPIs or key performance indicators, they're very important in business. However, we have to keep it simple before we get complex. So once again, we ask, how much is your time worth? An hour. Oh, it's worth $50. How much time do you spend in your business? I spend 10 hours. So if the math isn't adding up in a certain way, then we start to peel back the layers to figure out where the leaks are. I'll give you another example, and this is in my own business, right? Because once again, I like to look at some of the mistakes that I've made and use that to help business owners or just professionals in general. One of my profit leaks was I was spending money on resources that I was not using, right? I'm the type of person where if I see something that eventually I can use in my business, I will purchase it, but then it could be a month or 2 months down the line until I actually use it. That's wasting money because if I did not have the time to use that tool right then and there, who can I get? And I'm still learning this lesson, guys. Who can I get to test the tool out or utilize the tool or actually, implement the tool in my business so that money is not being wasted? But once again, there are periods of time in my business where I'm working in the business as opposed to on the business. I kind of have to have an equilibrium on that. And, I noticed that if I'm not utilizing the tool that I'm spending my money on, I'm wasting money. And once again, we're all in business to make money. in some way, shape, or form, as opposed to losing money. So it could be just a loss of time, a loss of money, a loss of resources. It could be a lot. But once again, we don't want to get too complex, because the complexity can lose people, especially when mentally they're frustrated based off of the fact of they're working all these hours, they're spending all this time, but they're not making the money that's equivalent to the time that they're spending, right? So, our motto in my business is, let's keep it simple. And then once we keep it simple, then if we need to be more complex. But once again, one of the simplest ways that someone can determine if they're leaking profits in their business, based off of the amount of time that you are spending, how much do you equivalent 1 hour of your time? And if the time that you're spending isn't adding up, that's where we're starting. That's something that someone who's just starting out in their business, or who has their business for a couple of years, because as we both know, business is like a roller coaster. You're going to have your peaks and you're going to have your valleys. So the biggest thing is not to stay in that valley too long, because if I've seen it so many times where you have businesses that fold and close based off of the fact that they're losing profits, and they really didn't discover the profits that they're losing until it's too late. We've seen that a lot in our business, but that's one of the simplest ways that you can kind of determine where you are losing leaking profits, is based off of the amount of money that you should be making versus the amount of money you are making, and leverage that based off of the time that you are spending.
Mr. Eric, let's talk about the financial blind spots. Why do so many entrepreneurs focus on revenue growth but ignore profit erosion?
I think a lot of it is based off of what they see, what deems to be successful. As an example, the narrative for the past couple of years, and it drives me crazy, is, hey, I want to make six figures in my business. I want to make six figures. I want to make six figures. And a lot of times, people want to make six figures just because they see or hear somebody else make six figures. But the next question that I ask, six figures gross or profit? And they look like a deer stuck in headlights, because they really don't know the difference, right? So you have to say, if you want to make six figures in your business profit, meaning after taxes, you want to shoot for maybe 200,000 or 300,000, whatever your mark is. Really, people are really, in some instances, outside of saying how much money they want to make, right? The whole six figures or seven figures. But even now on social media, they want to make eight figures. They are really scared of the math, and they're really scared of the numbers piece. I don't know if you know the slogan, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. Your numbers are very important, but a lot of people stray away from it. Or even more importantly, but not even more importantly, even worse, they get intertwined in their numbers when they're talking to their accountant or their tax person. Even if they have one, right? But that's probably one of the main reasons why I see it, is because they really don't know the difference between gross and net revenue and profit. Because once again, looking at social media and seeing things online, and they seeing people saying, hey, if you want to make six figures in your business in the next 12 months, you need to do X, Y, and Z. So they're so captivated by just the six figure slogan, in a sense, they really don't break it down. So which is crazy to me, because the only way that you'll be able to improve, and this is from years worth of experience in the business, the only way that you're going to be able to improve is if you look at your numbers, or look at your processes, or look at what's working and what's not working, right? And people are just caught up in the hype of, hey, I make six figures in my business. And a lot of times, and this is probably a reality check for people that, when they see this, a lot of times people who are saying they make six figures or seven figures or eight figures in their business, they're lying. They're doing that to reel you in, to say, oh, this person makes six figures. Let me buy their course or buy their program that can help me do that also, as opposed to saying something on the lines of, last year in my business, I grossed $500,000, but after taxes, I made $200,000. That is a real statement if you know your numbers. But most people, unfortunately, do not know their numbers. So they just focus on the six figures piece, as opposed to understanding that in the world of taxes, whatever you make, Uncle Sam is going to take at least 40% of that, right? And it hurts my
Yes.
pockets every time, but that's the reality of it. And those type of conversations, they're not, in a lot of terms, they're not outside of a CPA or an accountant or whatever have you. That's not sexy conversation. People want to say, "Hey, I made six figures in my business," instead of saying, "I made 100,000, but then after taxes, I only have $40,000," which is great, right? $40,000 in your business is great. It's better than saying I broke even or I didn't make any money last year. But you know, people want to look at the big number as opposed to that big axe that cuts things in half, aka taxes. And a true business person understands that you celebrate your profit. You don't celebrate the gross. The gross looks nice. It's a nice number, but you always got to look at it after you have that conversation with your CPA or your tax professional on how much did you really make that year. So that's the main reason why, in my opinion.
Yes, indeed. And I want to earn six figures too, Mr.
Ah,
Eric. For sure. So let's talk about the pricing and cost. How does underpricing services or products contribute to hidden profit loss?
wow. Well, that's a great question. And that's something that I dealt with maybe 5 years ago, where I did not really understand my worth and my value when it came in the marketplace, right? I understand my worth as a husband, as a friend, as a father, but in the marketplace, I really didn't know my value until actually someone, I worked with the client, and initially I charged them less than what the market was, because one, I was scared. Two, I really didn't understand my value until after I worked with a client and helped them in their business. She specifically said, I would have paid you triple based off the result that you gave me. But since you undercut yourself, I went with the price that you told me to. And it shook up my world, but it was a reality check that I needed, right? But after that, I understood the fact that my main goal is to help my clients succeed in their career and in their business, right? Let me just focus on the business processes piece. Um, my goal is to help businesses save money or even make more money based off of the processes and the procedures that we optimize or actually put in to their business. And I was really undervaluing myself, and I was playing it safe, as opposed to, you know, saying to myself, Eric, look at the results that you are having with your clients. And once again, for me, I'm a service-based business, but I also understand the concept of serving other people, right? And that's a model that I wish a lot of other entrepreneurs looked at or implemented, based off of the fact of your job and everybody's job on this earth is to serve other people in some sort of capacity. Of course, we want to get paid based off of our knowledge and our skills and the results that we bring to the marketplace. But ultimately, our goal is to help, because in a business, regardless of what business it is, your job is to solve a problem, right? Someone else's problem, and make their lives better. But a lot of business owners nowadays, they may not know their value, and that's no knock to them, because they may be new to this marketplace, new to the business space, and they're really just trying to get their footing. Or they think, and this is the mistake that I made, they think that if they charge the least amount, a business would go with that or a client will go with that. But there have been a lot of instances where you won't pick up the business based off of the fact of the perception that you are giving off to your potential client. Because if you're charging less than what the market is giving, they're going to look at you and say, okay, one, why are you charging less? And even more importantly, if you're charging less, am I going to get less of a service than someone that will charge me more? As an example, I don't know if you are a big car person, but you've never seen a Rolls Royce. I can never say that car's name. You will never see a commercial for a Rolls Royce. Never, right? The
Yes.
reason being is the people that buy these expensive cars, they're not watching TV. They're out making deals. They're out on their jets. They're out, networking with their high-powered individuals. So Rolls Royce automatically knows that they're never going to uh, showcase their cars to individuals that cannot afford them. And in a sense, they make billions of dollars, or maybe hundreds of millions of dollars every year based off of these luxury cars. Same thing, and it's also a mindset, right? Because most people may have the fear, if I charge this person too much, I may lose the deal in a sense. I thought that until that one of my clients said, hey, you need to start charging more based off the results that you give. And now what I do every year, I double my prices, because every year we widen our visibility, we widen our results. So it gets to the point where people know that we have the results that we know that we're going to help you save or make more money in your business. So we're going to charge you from that perspective. Because once again, I would rather lose a deal based off of the fact of me potentially charging too much as opposed to charging too little. And that's a mindset that personally I wish more business owners would have, because best believe clients out there would pay the price that you set and you feel comfortable. What you should actually set a price that you may feel uncomfortable with, meaning charge a higher price point, and there's a good possibility that they will move forward with you. But even if they don't, you've already set the bar in your business to say, hey, I'm going to charge, as an example, $35,000 to consult this business, as opposed to being scared and only charging $5,000. It's a big difference, in the perception of your price point will either attract certain people or it will reject certain people. And then also another tip for your audience, if you charge too little, those are the most difficult clients to work with. And I'm saying that based off of experience, because the person that you charge the least wants the most. I don't know how the universe works from that perspective, but the perception is, for the person at the lowest price point, they're going to waste a lot of your time, your effort, and your energy, as opposed to the person that understands, okay, we see the results that you can bring. We know that you can bring these results to our organization. Let's move forward with the deal, right? So
Yes.
a lot of times it's just the mindset of the business owner or the professional to stay safe and charge less, knowing that will be a burden to them in the future.
Mr. Eric, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth
Nice.
season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love letters in third season, and my movie 101 review and music 101 in its
Nice.
fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Eric, how can business build ongoing profit leak detection into their operations?
I think the biggest thing is just to we're all in the hustle and bustle of business. Well, at least that's what the the narrative is nowadays, right? We all want to work harder as opposed to working smarter, right? And one of the best things that people can do is, you know, one, remove themselves from what their day-to-day environment is, because environment is everything. If you're working in the office every single day, your mind is so focused and go, go, go in your business that you're really not taking a step back and really looking at your business as a whole, and one, understanding where you want to go from a visibility perspective or from a profit perspective, because we all want to set goals. We all want to set targets, what we say in my organization. But in order for you to even have a clear mind to think about where you are and where you want to go, you have to step away from your day-to-day. That's the first thing. And one thing that we recommend people doing is, taking a mini retreat. And that can just be something as getting out of your office and going to a library or going, somewhere where you're not in your immediate environment, because you got to have a clear mind to understand where you really are. And then also audit your day and audit your activities. Once again, that is extremely important, because as you audit the time that you are spending, you have to flush out where are the moments in your business where you are actually making money. You can spend 8 hours a day at your business, but it can show that you only spend 3 hours actually making money in your business. There's two tracks from that perspective. And the last thing is identifying what those PPA, like I talked about before, profit producing activities. For example, a profit producing activity for a real estate agent is actually closing the deal with their client. However, the process from getting the starting with the client to actually closing the actual deal, there are a lot of things that need someone's needs someone's activity, but that activity may not be yours. For example, do you really need to be at every open house? Maybe you can hire someone to actually be the person that shows the listings at your open house. Do you need to be the one that actually schedules the appointments? Knowing, for example, for AI, you can set up systems where someone actually picks up the phone, they can actually schedule the appointments for you and things of that nature. So in the process of closing the deal and getting paid, are there things that you can give to somebody else, or you can actually integrate technology into it? And then based off of the stuff that that you physically do not have to be there to make money, put something in place, hire someone, or figure out what you need to do to remove yourself from it. So then you can just focus on those PPAs. For example, if you have people and systems in place throughout 80% of that process, and you're spending 100% of your time on those last 20%, you can make more money in your business because you're focused on those profit producing activities. And a lot of times people don't do that because they feel that there's nothing wrong within their business, as opposed to taking a real close look at where they are, how much time they're spending, how much money they're really making, and filling in those overall gaps. And I say that based off of experience, because I struggled the first 5 years of my business until I understood that I don't have to be everywhere in my business. Somebody or something needs to be there, but do I physically have to be in front of someone when it comes to booking a meeting with me? No, I need to be there for the meeting, but I don't necessarily have to go through the back and forth. Hey, are you available at 10? No, are you available at 12? That's wasting a lot of time, as opposed to putting something in place, for example, like Calendly, that can actually have the dates that I'm available, and then the potential client can choose the time that works best for them. That's the working smarter, as opposed to working harder. Because once again, with the 20% that I know for a fact that was really making money in my business, I'm spending 100% of my time doing that, which ultimately increases my profit, because I know we talked about revenue and profit, but it also reduces the leaks in my business because I'm not wasting time on stuff that's really not moving the needle at my level in my business.
Mr. Eric B. Horn, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
I'm sorry, what was the last thing?
Can you please invite our listeners to support your
Yes.
advocacy or whatever projects that you're doing?
Yes, thank you. If please check out my website, gradcareerlaunch.com. That's GradCareerlaunch.com. There you'll find all my career development business, even my first book, because I know for a fact that your career and your business is very important. So definitely I would want you guys to take advantage of the products that I have, and based off of the mistakes that I've made, so you won't make those same mistakes either. So and thank you for your time, and definitely appreciate you, and definitely appreciate your viewers. Definitely appreciate it.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Eric B. Horn, because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering books to come, more and more empowering business to come. So, Mr. Eric, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.